it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're really focusing in and diving in, and I feel what is a very important topic, and that is overcoming isolation. I think that's really part of the healing process that most people really want to deny. They want to avoid. They want to not feel. They feel very uncomfortable or isolated, feeling like they have two I ams in emergence from a relationship or a family setting, a work setting, where they are surrounded maybe by narcissistic, emotional, abusive, emotionally manipulative, or psychopathic individuals, or a work setting where really when they come right back down to their reality or their sense that things really need to change and they want to avoid the change, they begin to isolate or feel isolated. They begin to define the situation as very negative, negatively reflecting on them, that there is something inherently wrong with them, feeling a grave sense of shame, feeling a grave sense of embarrassment or humiliation or frustration, or feeling powerless, helpless. Oftentimes also feeling terrorized. If you have been through a lot of gaslighting or brainwashing, and you have been really duped or deceived or betrayed by someone who has told you a whole whirlwind of lies, or cheated on you, betrayed you, things of this nature, it's very difficult to not feel a huge amount of anger, resentment, and guilt and shame about that. And so that anger oftentimes can, become overwhelming, infuriating, and it's very difficult to then deal with it because it can be a very separating emotion. In other words, it'll keep you away from doing things that you want to do, could be doing. You are not feeling up to it. You're feeling oftentimes those people who are emerging from a relationship, particularly, with a psychopathic individual, they really have a difficult time thinking clearly or thinking linearly or thinking globally. The Gestalt, they feel like, if you've ever studied Gestalt, it's like there's something missing in the picture and they can't put it together. They feel this sense of, really deep emptiness and like a piece of their life is truly missing. They don't feel whole. They feel, oftentimes very scared by this feeling, complex PTSD, where, they feel sick, they feel toxic, they, begin to be, afraid to even just do everyday basic things, go to the grocery store, get in the car, go to their work. They can't show their face. They feel like they're in a whole paranoia. They're in a whole nother space, and it's very, very scary for people, and they tend to isolate. And yes, there is a huge advantage and need to retreat, and go into a sacred sense of being on your own or having some alone time. If you have found yourself in a really serious or severe situation that has significantly maybe altered your life, altered maybe by the amount of time, the amount of intensity with which you are involved with this person, or the change that's going to be incurred, maybe you suffered financial loss, or this is your family and you now need to start over again and reinvent yourself, and you don't know where to turn. You feel very isolated. All your friends were here, all your work was there, your profession was here. You don't know what to do. Oftentimes people then begin to hide and isolate. And isolate, they can do it for weeks, months, years. Isolation is not good. Or at least applying the meaning that you are isolated, meaning really not going anywhere, not eating, not showering, not talking to people, keeping your head down, feeling very, 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 very dejected and depersonalized. So these are natural feelings, and you really do need to go through these feelings. But being aware of the isolation is to become, it's very important to realize that, this is not going to be a healthy way to deal with this situation, especially if you need to kind of go into the valley. As I say, it's kind of like a valley moment where you really need to get into more of a nurturing space, comforting space, drinking warm fluids, eating good and nutritious foods, not stuffing your feelings, not stuffing with chocolate or junk food or, high fat foods, sugary foods that tend to, try to dull and anesthetize your feelings, but saying, okay, I realize that this has happened. I'm not just going to stuff and, anesthetize my feelings. I'm going to begin to see that I do have some choices, and I'm just going to write down, a number of different choices. If I didn't need to anesthetize my feelings right now, what are 20 things that I could do besides, the stuffing, the drinking, whatever it is that you're doing to anesthetize your feelings after the situation, because people get almost blacked. They get almost frozen. They really get almost, what's the word that I'm looking for? I mean, beyond isolated, just they become crippled. And the word is going to come to me in a moment, but where they really become really stifled and almost in a shock, a state of shock. And it really is. I mean, people almost feel like they need to go to the hospital. They're really kind of having a breakdown of sorts. But you really need to realize that it's a time to pamper yourself. It's time to comfort yourself. It's time to nurture yourself. It's time to take care of yourself. It's time to get that preventative doctor visit in. A lot of people haven't been to the doctors for years. They haven't been to the dentist for years. They've had a whole list of procrastination. I describe this in the book that I'm working on. There's a whole heap of things that you maybe been procrastinating on while you're trying to solidify or come to a sense of closure with the relationship. And, it's time to begin to see that you have some choices. Rather than numbing myself out, here are 10 things, 20 things that I can do. And write a full couple pages of 20, 1 through 20, write the 1 through 20 down and begin just to fill it up. I mean, it can be as silly as things as breathe easy, relax, sit in the sun, sit in the wind, put my feet, feet on the grass, put my feet on the carpet, without, take off my shoes and socks and go to the sand, go to a river, go to an ocean, go to a lake, put your feet into, just, something very pleasant, like a new pair of socks. I mean, you can get these things and just do something different that's going to give you a better nurturing feeling versus just stuffing and trying to annihilate yourself through over drinking, over drugging, overeating. A lot of people do that in isolation and in hiding. And so realize that, begin to identify this now as more of, a moment in the valley, some valley moment times. And this, might take, again, you might draw this out in your blueprint for your life and say, what, this valley time, down where I'm really sort of nurturing myself and I need to really kind of, come into a state of decision making now. I have a lot of choices here, and begin then to come to a state of becoming aware of those choices and beginning to, assign the meaning using your cognitive tool of reframing, which is the ability of the mind to alchemize and then assign a more positive meaning to situations once they've occurred, rather than the habitual negative. I'm worthless, I'm nobody, I made a lot of mistakes, I'll never get out of this. I mean, the self-talk, begins to drive the feelings. I mean, of course you're feeling miserable if you keep saying that to yourself. So begin to say, I'm having a valley, I'm in the valley right now, I'm in the valley of a mountain. In other words, I've got some climbing up to do. I have some ascension to do. And, I'm going to make some choices while I'm down here. I'm going to be protective of myself. I'm going to do something that's more kind, nurturing, gentle. And I'm going to look at what has been isolating me. Am I keeping too many windows shut? Am I, not showering? Am I not answering the phone? Am I not doing my emails? Am I not getting myself out and getting fresh air? Am I saying no to every opportunity? And how can I slowly emerge? Having a retreat, yes, you absolutely must have a retreat, but make it sacred and make it special. Begin to do nice things for yourself. Lighting candles, lighting scented candles, changing up your lighting a little bit, changing up your bedding, changing up your bathroom, changing up your living area so that it reflects a new color scheme. These are all things which can give you a sense of choice and empowerment. Getting things decluttered, getting things out which are triggering the bad feelings, the negative feelings that aren't positive or aren't working for you anymore, getting rid of them. Beginning to live in that positive space, and then you'll begin to emerge and alchemize, and then have that become, you'll really define that more, instead of it being isolating, it being energizing and being empowered, and helping you to gain the autonomy and the serenity and security that you need. So you kind of come from that valley, you begin to come up and then get those new perspectives from a more ascended state, and you can see, wow, look how far I've come. And then you have a sense of accomplishment and a sense of humbleness and a sense of serenity and empowerment, knowing that you have identified the choices versus just staying stuck, with the head in the sand, that sort of isolating thought pattern and perspective, which perhaps had been ingrained just out of fear and lack of understanding and lack of tools, which now you have, which are in your hands. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. And I hope that these videos, that they do help. Please do share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Much love to you, Peace and Harmony.